some Gandalf outfit. They're like,
The past.
The past.
present.
Future.
Oh, I think I fucked that up.
The past.
Present.
Future.
Ooh, that was my future ball. That was like my mystic.
Of porn. Hey, curious fuckers.
Ooh, we are just about. Let's do this again, sorry.
I didn't get that.
Oh,
Could you try again?
Spooky.
Why?
Siri?
You're always listening to me.
Error.
We are talking to the amazing Paulita, telling us all about what she thinks of the past, the present, the future of porn.
She is a performer herself, also a director, and owns Lustery. It's her baby of ethical, sexy porn from real life couples.
And also this video is sponsored by Lustery as well, so make sure you go and check out that website and you won't be disappointed.
Absolutely not. The couples are so...
Amateur couples,
Yes.
real people doing porn.
Oh, check it out. You will not be disappointed.
Anyway, let's say hi to Paulita. So firstly, what is your relationship with porn? How did you sort of get into it?
I'm a kid from the 90s, right? So my beginnings finding porn was like, you know, when we had this old internet connection, it went like...
Yeah.
And I remember looking at some like super random pages that had like really random things from like Simpsons porn.
Yes, the animated porn. I remember that so clearly, being like, Simpsons are fucking.
Ruining my innocent mind.
Yeah, but also super into it.
Actually, something that I really did love more was like kind of like vintage porn and looking at these, you know, people with like full pubes and hairs all over and like,
Yeah.
Porn stars like back in the day when their like movies were in the theatre and like on VHS and stuff, there was more like stardom, like with that's where like I think that's where the term porn star came from.
Now, anyone could be a porn director if they own a phone and some genitals. Like, that's as simple as it is. But what we love about you, Paulita, is like really bringing the actual, like the ethics and the ethos and what porn should be like on a porn set. Of course, like you have Lustery. Is there any chance you could tell us a bit more about that?
so with documentary porn, what you have at Lustery basically is people that there's no script, there is no roles that they're playing, there's no rules to what they should be doing or not be doing sexually. You know, it's people that know each other's bodies, know each other's kinks and turn-ons and everything. For me, Lustery is like an archive of people's real sex lives, basically.
So how did you get into making and performing in porn?
I came to Berlin, of course, the mecca of sexual exploration. I met queer feminist women that were doing porn films and they were doing it as part of their feminist practice. For them, it was a way of showing their own sexuality, which they didn't see represented in mainstream media. And for me, that was like, this is what I wanted to do all my life. Now finally I can do it. And then getting like good feedback and people being like, yeah, we love what you're doing. I was like, okay, this is amazing. And it really has done so much for my private sexuality and for my private like sense of worth and everything.
Was there something about the past that you were watching back in the 90s that you've put in the porn that you shoot now?
Totally. A lot of my favorite films are from the 90s. So everything from like Trainspotting to Reservoir Dogs and whatever. I don't even know if that's exactly the decade, but I love to have these references in my films.
Okay, they're great references. We'll keep them in.
Like I actually think like 80s and 80s, as you were saying, it's like the golden age of porn, and it was such
really
amazing fiction porn being created.
It wasn't until I reached the age of 30 that my dad has given me all of his old 70s 80s porn mags. And they are fascinating. You know, if I had access to those, I mean, it might be problematic, but if I had access to those when I was younger, I would think so differently about porn now. They just look so sexy and so voluptuous, and the hair and like the setup, it looks incredible. Yeah, thanks Dad for the porn.
What do you think the differences are from porn in the past and porn how it is now?
Before, there used to be these really big companies that would produce these really big films with bigger budgets. Now everyone has a phone, everyone can create their own content, which means a lot of those big porn companies have gone they're gone. I'd say there's more diversity because there are, again, more people deciding on their own terms how they want to present themselves, how they want to market themselves.
How did you feel about the kind of like transformation from people paying for porn to being able to access it for free?
It's so hard for me to say because in the first thing I want to say it's like it's a tragedy, like it is so bad. This fucked us over because of course basically MindGeek built their empire. Not only MindGeek, other companies, but MindGeek are kind of like the best known, and they built their empire on piracy. Like many other companies did, like Napster and in the music industry or other companies in different industries.
LimeWire.
Right, but those other industries had different structures in place and legal stuff in place to be able to stop that. And Napster, got shut down. But what happened with porn is nobody cares. Nobody cares if your porn is being pirated because it's like porn anyway, right? What happens is when the moment where there was so much porn available for free, suddenly it became completely absurd to be paying for porn because everything was out there. And that's when the value of porn completely fell down. At the same time, new platforms, including Pornhub, actually, offered a space for performers to create their own porn and again sell it to the end consumer.
I feel like things are changing slightly now, but throughout our teenage years, porn was just expected to be free.
You were literally a pervert if you went and paid for porn. The idea of man in a trench coat going off and buying porn from a dodgy little shop, and it's actually no, mate. What they were doing is right. They were going and supporting their little porn companies, supporting the industry.
Are you seeing a huge shift in people wanting to support sex workers and wanting to support ethical porn?
I would say yes. For example, in the last years, we've seen classical women's magazines like Cosmopolitan and Elle and whatever, publishing articles about like what's the best ethical porn sites. 7 years ago, every person that would even care for talking to me, the first question they would say, I would ask me would be like, okay, so porn is bad. Why is that you do better? There's nothing inherently wrong about porn. That's what I would always have to like explain. This idea that we have that all the porn industry is horrible, it comes from a prejudice and from stigma and prejudice against sex workers in general.
Do you think it's easier or harder to get into the porn industry now?
I would say there's different layers. I would say one layer in which might be easier is because of the internet again. Like it might be easier for you to Google and then find, especially on social media or whatever, find people that are in porn and approach them and be like, hey, I want to do this. I would say it also in terms of stigma, people, you might have a bit more of acceptance, and for it not to be like, okay, if I go into porn, like I'm gonna have to break up with everything and everyone I ever knew. Then on the other hand, I would say like nowadays for you to become like famous or internet famous or have like that many followers on several platforms, like it's tough because there's so many people doing it.
And also it's like the whole thing is kind of like social media marketing, like business.
And you could be creating the best kind of pornography, yet if you don't know how to market yourself and put yourself out on social media and have people find you, you might not get anywhere in it.
But it's like the same as getting into the bloody music industry.
Oh yeah, it definitely
Same
is.
thing.
Except now it's like sex industry. You gotta know who to fuck.
Could you tell us a little bit more about all the different ways people can be a like performer?
I'd say what a huge thing that of course started with the start of the internet, but that is still like really huge, is coming, right? So basically it's when it's live porn, I would say, if to put it in a simple way. So you could have a one-on-one, of course, when you're actually catering to like one person and whatever they wish for that session, or you have like a room with a lot of people where they're, some people pay with tokens. There's a lot of different ways how to monetize those that coming. Then of course you could still go like the old school way and try to become a porn star. And that's like the usual way would be like you start with, where you're not doing your own content, but you go to different companies. And then of course like the usual thing is like you start doing solo content or solo content, then girl, then girl, boy, then anal, then and like you work your way up in this kind of whatever hierarchy, that weird hierarchy it is
orgies,
for like sexual
gangbangs,
interaction.
yeah.
It's a really hard work also.
But if your name gets put in there, if you will be catapulted into fame because
Yeah.
they have the ability to do the marketing for you and push yourself everywhere. You might be on the adverts you see on those porn sites that are like, you know, really ridiculous, sped up, over the top. And I mean, I've seen my mates on there before and I'm trying to like have a quick little wank and be like, oh my God, that's my friend, you know? In the UK, I don't think it's run very well. And you're right, in European countries as well, there isn't a governing body to say, hey, that's not okay. What you're doing is actually like exploitation.
Do you feel like that is changing and that we're kind of like moving in a different direction for porn in the future?
I think the voices of performers are becoming more and more important, and especially like companies know that they're dependent also on performers and on their followers and affiliate programs and so on. I'm part, for example, of Free Speech Coalition Europe, which is kind of like the trade association for the adult industry in Europe, and that's one of the most important things that we have at the core, that is like, okay, we want to create a stronger network that can allow for a stronger regulation within the industry, and that certain things, like you're saying, Reed, like that they're not anymore like acceptable.
So we've had sort of like one-on-one live chat webcam models, we've had big production commercial companies. Like, what else are the other ways that you can get into porn?
Just creating your own content, creating your like yourself as your own brand, marketing yourself super duper hardcore on across all different platforms, and selling your content directly to the end consumer. But again, it seems easy. It's not. It's really hard job.
Really, really hard.
Yeah.
So, getting on to sort of the exciting future, what do you kind of like predict, or what are you excited about for the future of pornography?
So for a long time, I was really excited about VR, like virtual reality porn. I thought that's where we were going, and I even, I tried some stuff, 360 and so on. Now I have to admit I'm not so excited anymore about that. I feel like it's not going. I don't know if you've tried any like 360 porn. It's a bit like, I don't know.
I guess what I sort of envision for the future would be like some way of having like a virtual reality and some kind of like bodysuit, and like something that literally like replicates having sex with someone and it feels like having sex with someone.
So I think one thing, what you're saying about like having like the sex experience, right? And the really virtual reality with whatever sensors or bodysuit or whatever it is that you really feel like you're having sex. I think we're definitely not there yet technologically, but I think we could go there. And I think that might be especially super interesting and super problematic as well. What if you can recreate, like virtual reality recreates a scene with someone, like with your favorites, like whatever Hollywood star, but like because that's gonna be possible, right? But what are the problems?
The deep fakes.
Oh
yeah, exactly. There's something to be said about watching porn. We're crossing a little bit the line there when you're in there with your own body. It's an immersive experience, right? I think I like porn that has the film quality, the cinematic quality that I like in films as well. I love going to the cinema and having that kind of immersive experience that is not like bodily, but it's like I'm watching something and I'm very passive, but I'm like absorbing all of it. And I think there's gonna be like still real people and not like just animated or virtual reality. But I do think still might be more interactive in the terms that maybe you can like give in what you want to see, and then you'll have like something being created like for your specific needs and wishes.
More in like the sort of near future, I guess like porn's kind of, it's going in a really positive way, I hope. Like obviously there are still like a lot of like laws out there and like things like that are really like we're battling against. But at the same time as that, there's like a huge push for like ethical porn. There's a huge push for like seeing diverse bodies and diverse people, and like it's not all fakery.
I hope that in 10 years, so I hope like not so far away, we look back and laugh about this and be like, and have way more access, diverse access, and like, technology in place to, of course, like protect different people and have people decide what they want and what they do not want to see. But people that want to have access to certain things, like have access to diverse porn in terms of bodies, sexualities, practices, from vanilla to BDSM, from, one part of the world to the other.
So please tell our amazing curious fuckers like where they can find you.
Amazing, thank you so much. So I actually have a website. This is very new, so I'm excited to tell. It's www.paulitapappel.com. And of course I'm on social on Instagram and Twitter at Paulita Pappel. And go check out lustry.com if you want to see documentary porn. And yeah, follow me for more on sex, relationships, love, and everything between your legs.
Perfect.
Thank you so much for being here.
Oh, snap.
Thank you.
We were all such porn nerds in that chat.
We were.
I love it.
The fact that like we were talking about MindGeek without explaining what the fuck MindGeek was to the YouTubers was just like such obviously you know what MindGeek is. For anyone that doesn't know, MindGeek is a porn company that kind of owns everything. They own like 85% of the porn you see online. Everything from Pornhub to Brazzers,
RedTube.
Mofos, Fake Taxi. Like we're in two minds about whether they are good or bad. So we're still trying to figure that out.
Yeah, and if you do want to know more about them, listen to this audiobook series / I don't know if it's really a podcast or an audiobook, but it's called The Butterfly Effect by John Ronson. That is such a good like audio documentary about how MindGeek changed the face of porn. And also, if you want to hear more from us, we have our podcast Fucks Given, so check it out. It's on YouTube and all your podcast platforms.
Yeah, as well as you can check out all of our stuff on social media at Come Curious, spelled COME Curious, as well as our personal accounts Reed Amber X and Florence Bark.
Yeah, and I guess that's it. And you'll see us very, very soon.
Yeah.
Curious fuckers.
Enjoy. Pay for your porn, motherfuckers.
And go check out that stream.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
The wave.
Oh my god, my leg.
I know. My leg is completely numb.
Help. It's more like this bit. I'm in so much pain here.